Good morning, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. We're tired today. I was just telling ChatGPT about that. Today's drink, if you're curious, the drink of the day is a protein shake because I'm quite hungry, but I also don't have time to eat really, other than now. So I chose now, and I don't have any more food. So I have to make more food. So until I can make more food, which I can't do because I'm recording, although we have done a podcast while I cooked, if y'all remember that one, maybe we should embrace that. That could be fun, just doing stuff while I talk. I think that's vlog. Should we start a vlog? Anyway, maybe we should. Anyway, and so yeah, I didn't really have anything to eat, and my best shot was I need to hit my protein. I can hit my protein. Yes, I can. And so I had a protein bar and a protein shake, and that'll get me by. I think it's almost exact my protein goal, except a little bit, which will be like my post run, like snack meal. It depends on how much protein I need, but I think more like a snack, which should be perfect because I'm not usually like starving after a run. So, let me see though. If I do this plus that plus this, just kidding. If I add in right now, are you serious right now? Point of view stimming. Okay. I need 1 more gram of protein. That's not a joke. Why is it playing music right now? Not the advertisement. I literally need exactly 1 gram of protein. So yeah. Anyway, and so I'll have 1 gram of I don't know, milk. Probably milk. That's the easiest thing. No, I don't know what I'll have. I'll have something. Maybe I'll because I plan on making tuna salad. So maybe I'll just measure out like a little bit of tuna salad once it's done and just eat that. I don't know. Regardless, then I have to eat like warm tuna salad, which I've done before. Not like warm though. Actually, wait, yeah. Because the tuna's warm. The tuna's kept in a can, not in the fridge. Anyway, so I have a protein shake because one thing I stand by too is I need this because I'm gonna go on my run in about 45 minutes after I finish this probably, and that's not even accounting for editing time and all that stuff. Because again, we're recording Friday, the day before. Hello, people. But we're gonna go on a run. And it's a longer run. Although it's considered one of my short runs. My running, the schedule has changed. We'll get into that in a second. You're gonna see me mixing this a lot, and just like ignore that. If you're listening to the audio, then you won't even notice. Probably you might hear it though. It's just because protein powder never dissolves. I'm always drinking chunks of protein, which is fine. But I mean, right now I'm capable of it. I don't have anything else to do with my hands, so why not just like stir it up to dissolve it more? So anyway, and I'm gonna have this so that I can be fueled for my run. My run today. I'm tired of this, Grandpa. Well, that's too dang bad. Keep digging. That was me the past 2 weeks. Anyway, it wasn't that bad actually, but sorry, I told you I'm tired. I'm having this because I believe that this shouldn't mix with alcohol. Okay, I have to hit my protein and I have to eat something before I go on my run because I was getting hungry, and I can't be running with my stomach acting up or anything. That's absolutely not. And so yeah, we're sipping on this and we're not pairing it with any alcohol because I just don't think milk slash protein powder and alcohol go well together. I just don't play with it. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a good idea. So anyway, that's why you're gonna see me drinking this instead of. I don't know. I probably would have just had more Jack on the Rocks because I'm kind of running out of stuff to have. But I'm not gonna buy more because I have plenty of stuff to have. You know what I mean? Like it might be the same option, but it's still an option. But makes me think. I remember when I bought that Jack bottle for Stagecoach, thinking I bought it just for Ella Langley when she says drinking Jack all by myself. And remember when I took a shot with Ella Langley, y'all? Not in person, just like she took a shot, so I decided to take a shot at the same time on the Stagecoach performance. Anyway, so anyway, yeah, I ended up finishing. I haven't finished. Sorry, I am in the process of finishing that Jack bottle, which threw me off because I remember before that I didn't like Jack. I thought it tastes like cheap and artificial and not good. But then I eventually was like, you know what? I do like the Jack on the Rocks, and you know why? Probably because I associated with Ella Langley. Not joking, not being dramatic. That's genuinely probably the only reason I like Jack on the Rocks. Because I had Jack, but I put it on the rocks. She doesn't say anything about on the rocks, but I put it on the rocks because y'all know me. I've become so chill with alcohol. Like I can't go crazy anymore. I've become just so chill about it that like literally just like 2 drinks and I'm like done. Honestly, 2 drinks in, I'm all like, I feel it. I'm like literally that's become my like max low key. Yeah. And so at Stagecoach I was like, well, look, it's like a 10-hour plus event. Let's see, it starts at like 1 and it ended at like midnight. So like 11 hours, 12 hours sometimes even. And so I can't be just drinking straight Jack because that's like 2 ounces is like a serving. That's going to be gone in like 30 minutes or something, you know what I mean? And so I drowned it in ice. It lasted so long. It was perfect. And honestly, it probably tastes better. I don't know. I can't remember last time I had Jack by itself. Have I? I don't think I have since Stagecoach or before Stagecoach. I don't know if I had it before Stagecoach, but during and after Stagecoach, I think I've just had it on the rocks, which is with ice. So that's interesting to think about. Anyway, back on topic. There is no topic. We really just talk about anything here. What I was saying about my running. So I've changed my running plan. I don't know if I told y'all my running plan before. I used to run really light, you guys. I was running only a mile and a half. And you know why I was running a mile and a half? Because the FBI training that I've been preparing for just requires a mile and a half. So I was like, well, I need to optimize a mile and a half. I don't need to optimize 3 miles. I don't need to optimize a 5K. I don't need to optimize 10K. I just need to optimize a mile and a half. But now my motivation for running has changed because I want to go on races. And I think that's super valid. And it won't hurt with my FBI training, I'll tell you that much. It's endurance training. That's what they care about at the end of the day. I still need to be good with a mile and a half, but I don't think it's going to hurt me, that's for sure. And so I've tied in the half marathon training for it because my thing is I didn't want to take on a full marathon because I was like, that's just too much too fast. Because I plan on running in a few months. So like a few months to run a full marathon from somebody who's been running for a month and just doing 1.5 miles, it seems like a stretch. It seems like something that would make me uncomfortable and I wouldn't be trained for or prepared for. It didn't seem like something I'd enjoy. And it seemed like the prep would be intense and it would make me not like running anymore. So I opted for the half marathon, right? And I at first was following a schedule plan that I came up with. To be quite honest, I came up with it with Gemini. Not sponsored, should be. And I thought it was really good because Gemini made it. I was like, it's Google AI. I don't know why I have this earbud in. I'm so sorry. I'm like just noticing that. I have it in literally all day at work at this point, so I don't even notice it as much. Anyway, and so it was originally just 1.5 days, but like zone 2 days and zone blah, 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 whatever, which is like easy. You know what I mean? I was able to do it every day except for my long days, and my interval days. So every day except for 2 days of the week, I was able to do it like during my lunch break at work and stuff. And it was nice. It was good for my mental health. It was. But then I remember there's always a feature on my Garmin that I've not. Oh, by the way, can you see the developing Garmin tan line? Probably not yet. But it's not on right now because I have it charging because it was at 15%. I figured now is the best time to charge it because we're just sitting and talking. So anyway, the Garmin always just has new features. There's just always more, and I love it. It's something I love about Garmin. One of them that I've been meaning to play with but hadn't yet was the Garmin Coach feature. I was like, what is that? So I went with it, and it's amazing. It even like finds specific like runs and stuff for you. I love it. And gives you like a training plan. You can select between 3 people. From what I remember, it was a man, a woman, and then like an AI. I don't know that it was an AI, but the implication was it was like a robot, automatic type algorithm type thing, right? So that's why I call it an AI, but it might not have been an AI because y'all know there's a difference. So, dang, this is blending really well. It just takes a ton of mixing. But anyway, let me take a sip. Hold on. Is it blending well or is it just hiding? Let's see. Maybe I liked it better when I was drinking chunks at a time. Anyway, it was just powder chunks, not anything gross. But it's just 'cause, like the freaking powder's homophobic or hydrophobic. Not during Pride Month. Happy Pride Month, guys. But it's just because the powder is hydrophobic. It's because the powder is homophobic. Is the milk gay chat? Anyway, so I sorry, that threw me off. Where did we leave off at? So I was trying out the AI feature, which could be a robot, who knows. I decided to go with that one because it was more personalized, and the other ones just seemed like pre-programmed, like blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like, oh well, this that, and if something goes wrong or something about you is different than what that training program's accounted for, then it's just not going to help you. You know what I mean? And I was like, I don't need a one size fits all plan. I need a plan for me. And I will tell you what. It is not at all like what Gemini came up with. Gemini came up with this cute one. I was like, oh wow, this is all that it takes. Really, we'll be ready by then for that. Blah blah blah. This one is like, my first day of the program. Mind you, the longest I ever ran was 5K, and I did that on accident. Sort of. I did that unintentionally because I had to do a really slow run, a really slow long run, which was a 2-mile run, for because of what Gemini recommended. And it was so slow. I had to do 10:30 to 11, I think was the pace, and that was just horrible for me. And so when I was getting to like a mile and a half, I was like, I have way too much energy to just stop now. I was feeling good. I don't know if it was a runner's high. I don't know what it was, but I just kept going and kept going and kept going, and I was having a good time just singing. I sing a lot when I'm running, by the way. I try to be respectful, and if I see someone around, I try to like shut up. But whenever I'm away from people, I will be like, it was rare, you were there, you remember it. And my mindset is I'm walking so fast that even if someone can hear me, like they're in their backyard or something, they won't hear it for long, and they'll just be like, what? And so anyway, I sing a lot during my runs. It's also very good because I don't really have anyone to have a conversation with while I'm running. Quite honestly, I don't want to have a conversation when I'm running. I kind of like it just like for me time and alone time, but also to be quite honest, I just don't have somebody to talk to like that. And I think it's a really good way of measuring conversational and at what point you're pushing what, because at the end of the day, singing lyrics, I feel like is as hard, if not harder, than talking, right? Because you have to consecutively like stick with it. You can't just like, even if you're talking, you could argue you being like, and then I went and I had a good time. Like you could argue that's conversational, right? But if you're singing and you're all like, because the song keeps going, right? The song goes at the pace it goes at, it goes at the speed it goes to. If you can't keep up with the breath work and stuff, that means you can't really keep up with the conversation. You know what I mean? That's how I see it. But anyway, I sing a lot when I'm running. So I was just having a good time. I was just running. I decided I was going to stop around the 5K point, which is 3.1 something miles, but 3.1 miles is 5K. And just stopped there because I didn't want to like overexert myself, and my legs, I definitely felt it. Around the like 2.5, 2.6 miles, I was like, my legs feel this. I was physically feeling my legs being sore and fatigued. Sorry guys. I had to say a quick prayer and just take a second. But I it was not a lot, to be honest. It was a good day. I enjoyed it, to be quite honest. But that was the longest I ever ran. Up until that, I only ever ran 1.5 miles every day for the past 31 days or whatever. And then the first day I tried it was supposed to be interval day actually. It was supposed to be Gemini's interval day. And then I decided that was the day I tried the Garmin coach instead. The first day, which I've seen it recommend this before, and I just thought it was insane for that. I tell it my specific goals. I tell it my average pace and stuff. And then it has the audacity to say, yep, day 1, run a 9 pace. So that means it takes you 9 minutes to run a mile for 50 minutes straight. Mind you, that's about 5.5 miles if you maintain that. That you run in 50 minutes without stopping. I was like, I don't know if I can do that. Because again, the longest I ever ran was like 1 time. And then the day after, actually, I did run 2 miles. But that's it. You know what I mean? Every day besides those 2 days, besides the 5K and the 2 miles, I only ran 1.5 miles every day. And my longest run was like 30 something minutes. And that was the 5K. That was a one-off. Other than that, my average run was like less than 15 minutes. My average run was probably like 13 to 15 minutes, depending on if I was doing zone work or not. But let's just say in true average was probably like 13.5 minutes. Okay. 50 is a lot. I never ran that long, especially at that pace, because even when I ran the 5K, I was running like a 10:30 pace, not a 9, a 10:30 pace. That means it took me an extra 1.5 minutes to run a mile than what it wanted me to do. And then for another 17 minutes longer than I ran that one day. I was like, wow. But I did it. Thank God I did it. And I will tell y'all what. I was horrified. I was so scared because my thing is, I've always, and it's something that, thank God, with God's help, I've been getting better at, I think, and I pray. But I have always grown up with an irrational fear of vomiting. I mean, I don't know when it started or whatever, but I know for as long as I can remember, it scares me a lot. A lot. I genuinely, in my mind, it's like, if I start, I might not stop. We're just going to leave it at that, okay? Which could kill you, right? Horrible way to die. Drowning in your, horrible. And so, one thing with running is that's not weird. You know what I mean? I mean, I think a lot of people, even non-runners, know that that's not a weird thing with running. When you like overexert yourself or whatever, people do that. I mean, I heard about it. I don't even know how old I was, but just like from like a movie or something. Just like track kids, they push themselves really hard, run really fast, and then they, or the gym coach tells them, go another mile, go another lap, go whatever, and then it's a known thing, right? And I don't want that, and I wanted my prep to include that for preparing for the half marathon, so that I would be sure to be good. That's another reason I'm also taking all this so slow, so that I'd be sure that I'd be good when the race comes, right? And I never had been on a race, never had ran this long at this race, ever. At this pace, ever. And this was over 30 minutes, which was apparently, that was the line that Gemini told me at least, of which you need to start replenishing a little bit. You can make it like, you can run like 30 minutes without anything to replenish, but anything longer than that, you should start incorporating like water / like electrolytes or carbs or whatever, right? So me and Gemini established that my best way, I don't want gels, and it said that candies aren't a great idea because they sit weird in the stomach, and if you have blood coming like away from your stomach to focus on your running or whatever, which, see, this just shows like the amount that I have to like pray right now. Like it just shows how I feel about like getting sick, right? Like vomiting, which Anyway, just for the audio listeners, if I'm going quiet for a second, it's because I'm saying a quick prayer. um, but it's probably that at least. Um, and so we established my best method was basically which is fantastic. I bought it because I was tired of paying for freaking like electrolyte, like liquid IV or whatever. Um, and so I just bought a huge thing of Gatorade mix. For back when I was like drinking, you know what I mean? To help with like avoiding being hungover or whatever. Now, obviously, it's just been there for months. Who even knows how long at this point? But I mean, it's not gonna be bad. You know what I mean? It's powdered. And so whenever Gemini said I need electrolytes and I need carbs, I was like, what about Gatorade? Because like the most well-known thing for like athletes or whatever having a Gatorade bottle and just very very that. And so it was like, yep, that'll work. And I was like, fantastic. So I brought it on my run, but the whole time after about like I crashed like the 24-minute mark. I was like I genuinely, I just like the idea of continuing was all like, I don't even know how to describe it, but my body just just fell straight to the with energy went, it just crashed. And I didn't know what to do, but then I looked at the time and I was like, well, it's almost the 30-minute mark. Maybe I need to take a sip. But I took those sips strategically and very small and very slowly. But all I could think about around the 30-minute mark or every time I took a sip was my stomach. I was evaluating my stomach. I was like, am I going to be okay? If I was running so fast that my heart felt like it was like fluttering, like, which my heart was going fast. My average heart rate was, I think, like 172, 176, something like that. But that's not, actually, no, it was lower than that because I remember being impressed, honestly, because I never hit zone 5 that whole run. That amazed me. It showed my progress, honestly. I don't know. Let me see what our average, okay. See me seeing someone posting easy 10K. I get it though. I get it. My average was, bear with me. Hold on. I'm pulling it up. 172 beats per minute was my average heart rate. And so, if it ever felt like it was just because I know my running heart rates and stuff, but I also know I've learned actually, I don't know if it's like naturally or just me imagining or what, but like I feel like I know when I'm getting to my lactate threshold, like low key. I don't know how to explain it, but like, so whenever I was running and I noticed I was really pushing myself, my heart was like doing the thing that it was doing. What I don't fully know how to explain it besides like I don't know, almost like fluttery, this feeling of almost like my heart's beating so fast, I can feel it, but I can't feel it beating. You know what I mean? I don't know, but like pressure building or something like that. That's when I realized, or like it started burning a little bit or something. That's when I would like slow down, and I'd be like, okay. Or if I just, like, or if I felt like I was gonna crash or whatever, I'd like slow down for a second. I'd run like at an 11 pace or something, because at the end of the day, it wasn't worth getting sick, and it wasn't worth like injuring myself, and it wasn't worth crashing. None of this stuff, to the point of not being able to finish it. It wasn't worth it to me. So I was like, I was responsible about it, but I remember the whole time all I could think about was like, what if after all of this I end up feeling not well, you know what I mean? And the whole time afterwards, I finished the race. I finished the run. I ran the 50 minutes and I averaged a 9:22 pace. That's really good, honestly, I would say, especially for my running background. And yeah, but just considering that I only ran a mile and a half except 2 times. Once I ran a 5K and once I ran a 2 mile, but each time was like a 10 to 10:30 pace. I was impressed personally. But I finished it and I remember it felt like my fight or flight was so on. It was so, I was so aware of everything, felt like it was life or death, genuinely. Like I don't know fully how to explain it, but like I like had to like go and like shower, and all I could think about was like showering. But before I got in the shower, I like took off my garment, even though I don't need to. It's designed to be swam in. Still, I was all like, well, I don't need an extra thing to worry about right now. All I needed to worry about was the next task. And it wasn't in a cute way. Now that's something I do like about running is it'll like kind of tunnel vision my thoughts and stuff, and so I won't be as stressed out or as focused on something or whatever, but not in that way. In a genuine I am being hunted way. It was horrible for my running career. Sorry, that was me being dramatic. Not my running career. It had nothing to do with my running career. But it was a horrible feeling. It really was, because even though I knew I was safe, I knew I was fine. Nobody was following me. Nobody was for like an hour to an hour and a half. This was right before bedtime too. Like an hour and a half after the run ended, I was living like everything was life or death. Even like with my eating, like when I was like eating the food and stuff, I was so, because my thing is I don't know how to explain this to you guys, because I do all of these things naturally. Okay, I am always hyper vigilant. I notice any slight sound, any slight change, I notice the smallest of things. I notice sounds, I estimate sounds. I can hear a sound from like behind a door that's like 40 yards away or something, and then I'll be able to be like, what was that? Like I'll be able to think that didn't sound like a person sound, that didn't sound like an animal sound, that it probably is just this like something falling. It sounded like really quiet. It was probably just a screw falling in the supply closet, something like that. I mean, that's dramatic, but it's not dramatic when I say I can hear things behind closed doors and notice it. I can hear somebody. If you if somebody is on the phone, not even on speakerphone, okay? If somebody is on the phone and they are in a different room than me, but the door is open between me and them, and they are like 30 feet away, I could figure out what the phone call is about without even trying to figure out what the phone call is about. I'll be able to just tell, I'll be like, without even listening, if they're like saying something that concerns me, like at work, for example, I'll be able to be like, oh shoot, they're talking about me and something that I did. And I've literally had to intentionally start thinking something else, or just shutting a door, whatever I have to do to not listen in, because I've just found knowing stuff that you're not meant to know or not meant to hear is just not good for your mental health. But like, I hear that stuff. I am so hyper vigilant. This stuff isn't foreign to me, okay? Whenever I shower with my garment on, I'm constantly trying not to be, I'm trying to like exposure therapy myself, be like, it's designed for this. It's fine. You can do this. But like, this was genuine, like a horror movie. Like genuinely, I was being hunted. And yes, I was proud of it, but it like at the cost of my mental health, you know what I mean? Like it was so intense. I remember that run being over, and usually during like I fully expected at the end of that run to be like, let's go, I did it. Like so excited. Genuinely just scared. That's all that I was just scared. And now I didn't feel like, how do I explain it? I didn't feel the way that you would feel if somebody had like a gun to your head. You know what I mean? Like or let's not say that. If somebody had a pew pew to your head, okay, you would feel very differently than how I felt. But I felt, I guess paranoid is the right word. I can't fully explain it, but it fully makes sense, because that feeling is just fight or flight. When you have your body beating at 172 beats per minute on average for 50 minutes, your body has naturally been in a state of fight or flight. Honestly, higher, because normal fight or flight by itself wouldn't get you to 170 beats per minute probably. At least not me. My resting heart rate, according to my garment at least, it averages like 54. I was at work today, which was crazy because I was having a Diet Coke. I was feeling like stressed. I had a lot going on. I checked my heart rate. It shows me like low 60s. So that's what I mean. Literally like triple my average heart rate. Okay. Almost triple it. It's a lot. I even saw this lady who was talking about, she's that lady. I'm not going to say her handle because I don't know if that'll be a problem one day. But she's that lady that like talks about being like, can I say that? Being stalked by a group of people. I don't know if I can say the term, but I guess you can look up a term for a group of people stalking an individual. You will probably find it. Um, and she posts about it a lot. I followed her because, in a weird way, I kind of want to validate her because everyone says that she's just like schizophrenic and she's just blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, that's exactly why this would work. You know what I mean? Because everybody would just assume that she's just schizophrenic. They would assume that she's just paranoid. But there's a lot of evidence. Okay. Now, absolutely. There's also a lot of evidence when you actually are delusional. Not saying she is, not meaning that as an insult. I mean, the objective definition of delusion. Obviously, people don't believe things because it's not believable. People believe things because to them it's believable. But I mean, shoot, I want to be in her corner. I'm not actively saying, you're so valid, girl, keep it up, blah, blah, blah. I'm not like supporting her or anything other than just not invalidating her. You know what I mean? I just kind of follow along with her journey. I don't know. She was posting and showing her heart rate on her Apple Watch, which first of all, yeah, no, I'm joking. But she was showing her heart rate on her Apple Watch, and it was 126 beats per minute. I was like, baby girl, that's like lower zone 2. And that's exactly what I mean in the sense of normal fight or flight, which is also a high heart rate. Let me tell you, that's still like double what your heart rate would be probably for a lot of people, because the average resting heart rate is like 60 to 100. I think it's 60 to 120 to 110 actually. No, it's somewhere between 60 beats per minute and 110 beats per minute is the average resting heart rate. Last I checked. And so 173 is a lot. It makes sense maintaining that for 50 minutes, like I was saying, would make me in a deep state of fight or flight. And it would take me a while to get out of that. I will say, even after I'd eaten and had something to drink and stuff, for like probably 15, 20 minutes later, my heart rate was still 100 and like 103 or something. It was, yeah. But it was scary. And it's like they say, to be fair, they say it for a reason. Running is mental. But that was the first time I finished a race. And again, a run. And I thought I was going to end it and say, we did it. Let's go. Let's be so proud. I was just focused on just all I could think about, which I don't claim it. I rebuke in the name of Jesus. But like, all I was thinking about was, am I going to get sick? Am I going to get sick? Because I didn't get sick on the run. But what if when I came back down, my stomach caught back up? What if, which I rebuke all of that in the name of Jesus. Jesus Christ, amen. But like, no. it was a lot, okay? And I thank God was fine. I didn't get sick. I felt fine, thank God. But all of that to say, the Garmin has gotten intense with its training routines. I told it 2 long runs a week, okay? So I thought that meant those 2 days that I selected, we would be doing long runs. The rest of the days would just be like cute little 15 minutes or less. Genuinely, that is what I thought. My Garmin said, okay, actually, and it gave me a crazy schedule. I can't tell you what it gave me initially, because after I did that 50-minute 9 pace thing, it actually adjusted. It said I needed 53 hours, I believe it was, of recovery time after that single run. The run ended up being 5 miles, 5.25 miles, so 5.25 miles is what it ended up being. And it said after that singular run, I needed 53 hours of recovery time. I was like, even my app knows that was insane. And then my body battery was at 13. I was like, real. That's fair. It drained it. Everything. No, not my body battery. My training readiness was at 13. My body battery, I don't know what that was at. I don't remember. But after that, it did change my plan, which surprised me because I didn't think it would. So let me see if I can find. Let me see training. Here we go. So today it has me doing. Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. My current prediction is such a blessing. It's an hour and 46 minutes and 25 seconds. I'm hoping to beat that because I'd like to qualify for Boston next year. But because I want to do a marathon next year. Boston would be fantastic. Obviously, I have to do a marathon before I do Boston because you have to qualify for Boston. I need to look into that. I don't know much about it, but I'd love to do Boston like fast and just get it done with, just to say I did it. Um, but we'll see, because like I said, I'm not gonna ruin running for myself, and if I get it, I get it. But a mile, an hour and 46 minutes for somebody who hasn't even ran an official race before would be insane. So whatever I get, I'm gonna be happy with it. And so let's see. It is having me do today. It's having me do an easy 2.5 miles is what it estimates. It might be longer, it might not be. I don't know. But it's just having me do a 10:45 pace for 26 minutes because today's a recovery day. Because like I said, after it's all what happened that one day, it gave me 2 recovery days in a row. Before it only gave me 1, and then it, I think I remember now. I kid you not. It started with a recovery day, and then so I just ran. It said I needed 53 hours to recover. It said my training readiness was 13. And then it said the next day would be a recovery day. And then the day after would be intervals. And like 5:45 pace intervals, which means you run a mile in 5 minutes and 45 seconds. I'm not sure I've ever ran that fast. Like, I think maybe at some point for a second I have. And it was just like, yeah, I know you need 53 hours, but the day after tomorrow, we need you doing intervals for anaerobic exercise. I was like, chat, that doesn't make sense, does it? No, it doesn't. It does not make sense. And so I, hold on, bear with me. I'm not even drinking my protein shake. This is exactly what I remember protein shakes being like. I guess it's just well mixed now. It's so different. How did the flavor change so much? Me trying to give y'all ASMR. Anyway, and so I ended up getting that changed because I guess my Garmin realized an anaerobic exercise of intervals, when it still said when I was running it, I would have still needed like 30 hours of recovery according to the watch. Was insane. So I guess I changed it up. Now it is saying, shoot, I don't know. Build peak. Dang, I'm building until late September. Yeah, that makes sense actually. Anyway, it won't show me. This is actually so frustrating. Oh yes, it will. Okay. So, oh yes, it's showing me everything that I've done. Okay. Wow, it'll only show me. Okay. Well, tomorrow it has me doing 40 minutes at a 9 pace, which is just. I was telling ChatGPT, I was like, should I gaslight it and just run 50 minutes so that it thinks that it's easier for me than it is? When literally last time I came back freaking out. Like no, I probably shouldn't. I literally told myself at the end of it, I watched myself here because I don't want to like plead anything, but like for a second I was at least thinking I don't want to do that again. Kind of like I keep hearing people say about it for like prep for bodybuilding. They do it once and they're like, I never want to do it again. It was like that for a second, but then I was like, that's not even like a third of it. Actually, it is a third of it. It's a little more than a third of it, but that's not even a half of a half marathon. Now, my argument then became, I need a little more time before I do something that intense. So it's making good accommodations, it is, but like, man, it's humbling to have it degrade you, to have it say, yeah, you need a second. But today's another recovery run. I'll take what I can get. It's still 26 minutes because that's what I was getting at. Is it said I'm only supposed to have 2 long runs, but now my runs are 26 minutes, which technically, sure, I could do during my lunch break because I get a 30-minute lunch break. But like, not really. I guess if I wore my running clothes under my work clothes, but then I still have to change back into my. I wouldn't get to eat lunch. It wouldn't work, and so I'd end up just running faster, and then it's just not following the training plan, which won't help me train my like zone 2, zone 3, and so it's just, yeah. Anyway, plus it won't help me with recovery. It's just not a good idea. Um, but yeah, so now I'm following a totally different plan for this. But I'm enjoying it, I will say. I like the challenge, I do. The only thing I don't like about it is it's summer. It is summer and it is Arizona. And so running is not ideal. Now my garment did say yesterday after my run, I was 100% heat acclimatized. Up until then, I was only 66%. Not sure if that was just because I ran later in the day, because that's where I'm getting at with all this. Is I either have to run really early, and like 4 a.m. early in the day, or I have to run like really late, like 7, 8 p.m. I don't like either of those options because I already don't sleep much as is, and I'm way too tired, and like I don't want to be doing anything at 7 p.m. But the latter is more possible. It's more sustainable. I'm going to be honest with everybody. I'm not waking up at 4 a.m. to go on a long run. Maybe occasionally, but I'm not doing it every day. I am going to have days where I just don't want to do it. And some days it'll be cute, but there's so many days where I'm just going to sleep late lately. I need the recovery. One thing, everyone knows it. Not everyone, but if you don't know it, now you will, I guess. Recovery is so important for progress with all this stuff. I'm weightlifting on a daily basis. Okay, 5 or 6 times a week. Not always daily, but like on average, like 5 days a week. Okay, I'm lifting weights. I'm running every single day, 7 days a week. The runs have gotten more intense too. I've been doing like, I don't know if it's called trenching officially, but I've had to dig up just all kinds of desert soil because there was a water leak, and then we bury it and deal with all of that stuff. I'm pretty physically active, and I have a lot going on. I need the recovery. If I don't recover, all of the protein that I'm consuming doesn't really matter if my body doesn't have time to build muscle. All of the running I'm doing doesn't really matter if my body doesn't have the time to build the mitochondria or whatever else, the muscle even still in my legs, the tendons, the repair, whatever it is. And so unfortunately later in the day is just more, it's just a better option. But I keep hearing that saying of like summer runs bring winter PRs or whatever it is, because I mean it's true. Once the weather is normal again, my heart rate is going to be way lower, because long story short, your heart has to pump faster to cool your body off during like the summer and stuff, just naturally, whether you're walking, running, just sitting, whatever it is. And that directly affects like your VO2 max, I guess, and just all of it, and your zones. And so if you get a really good like VO2 max / zones in the summer, I imagine it'll just be amplified in cooler times like spring or winter or whatever. So we're going to keep doing it. We're going to stick with it, but it will be nice whenever I can just, whenever I want, like right after work or whatever, just go on the run. I won't have to wait. But yeah. So that's all of the running stuff. I know. I'm telling y'all know I'm already super into the running stuff. Other than that, honestly, that's that really has been my main focus. My cut's been going good. I've lost now about 9 pounds worth of weight, which is insane, by the way, because I don't feel like I really see it, but I also do. You know what I mean? And I know I'm maintaining muscle during it and gaining muscle during it and stuff, because I've seen my body at like this weight before, and I'm pretty sure it looked quite different. But that's the hard part, is like A, body dysmorphia, and B, I don't know, just like you get so used to your body, like seeing it every day, it's hard to see drastic differences or whatever. But I can tell, like whenever I flex, I can tell, or like whenever I'm carrying something at the like grocery store, something will literally just stab into my bicep, and I'll feel my whole bicep or whatever because it's being stabbed. And I'm like there's a difference, but I guess that light just gave up. Okay. There's a difference, but like I don't know. Sometimes it feels like I just can't prove it, but it's working. It is. I'm amazed, honestly, just with the fact that I have lost 9 pounds of fat because I'm maintaining the muscle. I'm working out. I'm eating plenty enough protein to keep up with it, even with my deficit and stuff. But like, dang, like I've lost 9 pounds and it feels like I've lost nothing, which makes sense for two. It's contradicting for two reasons. One, it makes sense because, I mean, it's mainly just like fat on me, probably low key, because I'm not like shredded. I'm not on steroids. I'm not especially muscular. And so I have a lot of fat, but at the same time, I weigh so little that 9 pounds is a lot. And so losing that in just fat, you'd think it would like make me just like chiseled. And again, you can see a difference. Like I'm sure of it. I just can't prove it. But like you can see a difference. But it also feels like the longer you look or the more you look, it's like, can you? And I don't want to be skinny fat. I've always been skinny fat. And so I don't want that anymore. But there's no way we can, right? With this much activity, eventually we're going to be like fit and all that stuff. So, but regardless, I mean, other than that, that's the cut, that's the running. Work has been work. We're just getting through it with work, y'all. We're just trying to get through the day to day. Work is just no longer my like number one in life, which I think is a good thing. I think it's healthy. But we go to work, we get our job, we do our job, we leave. I don't have much to say because I'm at a very frustrating point at my like life with work, and this happens cyclically, it seems like. And so it just seems like I'm in that phase where work kind of like isn't great for me right now. But you know what? It pays me. I've found a balance with it. It's teaching me a lot of skills. I will say a lot of skills, and it's something I'm just grateful for. I am not gonna like complain or bash my work for employing me. You know what I mean? Now there are times where I might complain or whatever because I'm frustrated, more so in the past. But still, even now, I'm a human. But I'm not gonna like. It's just work. Everybody's like stressed. Everybody's overwhelmed. There's always a hierarchy, a dynamic. And it's something that I've learned is, honestly, at the end of the day, a lot of the problem is me. And that sounds really bad to say out loud. But in the sense of, there's definitely flaws and there's definitely problems with every system. But I notice with a lot of these things, there's honestly a point. Like, even, let me think of like I can't think of like an example. But like, let's say like in a corporate environment, okay? I'm not working in like a big like what's it called, like corporation, but like very much like the small business version of it, right? But like, let's talk on a big scale because that's not what I'm doing, so we don't have to worry about somebody misinterpreting that or something. In a big environment, okay, if you hate your job because you hate that your boss always tells you what to do and yells at you and stuff, something you can take away from that is you are taking your job too personally. You know what I mean? Now, are there environments and should it be okay to take things personally? Absolutely. But your environment just happens to be in one where it's not good for your mental health to do that. And it's a good skill to learn, because there's always going to be people in the world that are just rude to you, that are just whatever. And it's a really valuable thing to learn, is learning how to deal with people that don't like you and that make your life harder with a smile and professionalism. Whether it's someone rude at the grocery store, whether it's an employer, whatever it is. Again, I'm not saying tolerate abuse. I'm not saying anything like that. What I'm saying is there's a takeaway in that, okay? That will at least make your mental health and your life better. Being able to find a way to just say, whenever they said, wow, you're just so dumb, blah, 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 that's just not okay, okay? But being able to take that and think, nothing I do is going to be enough for this person. So instead of, which I'm not saying is always the case, but like in the case of you've over and over done excellent work and then they're just like micromanaging it, I guess, over and over and over, eventually just thinking, nothing I do is going to be enough for this person. And it's not necessarily personal. That's just their communication style. They're direct, they're honest. And I need to accept that when I submit the next draft, it's going to have issues. And they're going to yell. And it's not because I'm personally inferior to them. It's not because I'm a lesser person. That is how they communicate. Again, whether it's healthy or not is a different conversation. I don't know them. But being able to learn to just externalize that and not let it affect how you feel about yourself and how you feel about these things. At the end of the day, there's always an opportunity in everything. So take advantage of it. You have to deal with it. You need money. You need blah, blah, blah. If it's a good enough job, you know what I mean? In this economy, don't be like quitting with nothing to back you up or something. But yeah, I'm huge disclaimer. Like I said, this has nothing to do with my company or anything. All that I'm saying, to circle back full circle, is I don't want to complain because I'm just grateful to be employed in this economy. I'm grateful to be making a livable wage. I'm grateful to just be alive, to have nice things, to have my lifestyle. Something else I was talking to ChatGPT about. It's a high maintenance lifestyle, and not in a maison Perrier way per se, but just in a, I want like the carpets to always be super clean. I've literally scrubbed the walls. I want everything to smell nice all the time, like type way. And so a little bit of bouge too, don't get me wrong, but like I don't know. Regardless, I'm just super grateful. So I've gotten to a point where I don't know. I've gotten good at accepting that the things at work are frustrating, but trying to find a way to just separate work and personal just makes a lot of sense. And so I've been trying to do that. And just be grateful for all of it. And I really am. So I don't like to complain on here because for what? It's like, let me think of it, an example. It's like if I had an instrument. Okay, let's say that I play the violin. Okay, no, piano. Piano's a better example. I can talk more about pianos, maybe. If I was playing a piano and I'm always complaining about like, like I love the piano. I love playing the piano. I make money off of the piano. It doesn't even have to be about money. I just love the piano, okay? And I perform for people on the piano, and it's something that I enjoy to do. But then every time I'm like, I hate tuning the piano. It takes so long. And then the strings, when they snap, it's so hard to fix it and blah, blah, blah. But you have a piano. You know what I mean? Not everyone has a piano. And you get to do what you love. You might not always love it, but like, you still get to do what you love. Sometimes you're playing the piano because you have to. Sometimes you're playing the piano because you want to. It just, you have a piano. You know what I mean? So like, you really want to complain until somebody says, well, I'll take it from you. And then they're like, they just drag it away from you. Okay, you getting fired or even quitting, whatever. And then you don't have a piano anymore. You know, maybe it wasn't a perfect piano, but nothing's perfect. You know what I mean? So that's just been my situation with work, I guess, metaphorically. And so I really have a lot to be grateful for work. I'd be upset if I lost my job, very much so. I'd be horrified. So I'm just grateful to have it. I don't want to say anything on it because I'm just grateful to have my job. And I'm grateful to be employed in this economy because gas was so bad today. I paid $42 for less than 10 gallons of gas. So yeah. Anyway, we're going to cut it there. We're going to leave it there. Sure, we have so much more to get into, but we're going to have to save that for future episodes. Thank you all so much for listening to this week's episode. I'm going to take a sip before I go because I need to get this down. Bear with me. Hold on. Bear with me. Bear with me. Okay. Okay. I really need to cut my hair. Maybe I'll do that this weekend. I don't know. We'll see. But thank you all so much for listening to this week's episode of the podcast. If you guys enjoyed this week's episode, please leave a like, 5-star, 10-star, whatever the best review you can leave is. Share with a friend if you think that they'd like it, or just to help me out. I'd really love to do this full time. Yeah, thank you all so much for listening to this week's episode. I love you all. I will see you guys next week. Bye, guys.